She spent her last dollar feeding a stranger, unaware he was the CEO of the company she was desperate to join. Harper Lane stood outside a downtown food truck, the scent of roasted garlic and sizzling meat filling the air. It was lunchtime, and office workers bustled around in tailored suits and shiny shoes, worlds apart from Harper's thrifted blouse and scuffed boots. She clutched her resume folder tightly, trying to steady her nerves before her final job interview at Valiant Tech. She had exactly $12 left, barely enough for a meal, but she needed energy. As she ordered a modest sandwich, the man behind her reached into his pockets and frowned. "Forgot my wallet," he mumbled. Without hesitation, Harper stepped up. "I'll cover it," she said. "It's just lunch." He blinked, surprised, and smiled and accepted. They stood side by side eating on the curb. "You looking for work?" he asked casually. "Trying to," she replied. They parted ways with a polite nod, neither asking for the other's name. Harper walked away unaware that her small act of generosity had just changed her life. Harper sat on a concrete bench outside Valiant Tech's towering glass building, her fingers trembling slightly as she reviewed her resume one last time. On paper, it was impressive. 3 tech certifications, a solid GitHub portfolio, and glowing references from instructors. But it also bore a scar, an unavoidable gap and a footnote she couldn't hide. 5 years ago, she had served time for financial fraud. The truth was complex. She had unknowingly become part of an embezzlement scheme manipulated by her boss and too scared to speak up. By the time she realized the full extent, it was too late. The court had been merciless, but Harper had paid her dues and then some. She'd taught herself to code in prison, completed 2 community college programs, and worked nights in retail while freelancing web design for local businesses. Still, the stigma never fully left her. She breathed in deeply. Today was her last shot. If Valiant said no, she'd have to move back in with her aunt. "You've got this," she whispered to herself. The receptionist smiled brightly and led Harper through a sleek hallway into a glass-walled conference room. "Please wait here. The CEO likes to greet final round candidates personally." Harper's heart thudded. The CEO, that was unusual. Moments later, the door swung open. In stepped a man in a fitted navy blue suit, calm, confident, magnetic, and very familiar. Harper's eyes widened. It was him, the stranger from the food truck. He paused, recognition flashing across his face. "Ms. Lane," he said, extending his hand with a polite smile. "I'm Nathan Cross, CEO of Valiant." For a second, Harper froze, caught between panic and disbelief. Was this a setup, a joke? But Nathan's tone was steady, professional, and kind. She shook his hand, forcing herself to breathe. "Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Cross." He nodded, sitting across from her. Neither of them mentioned the lunch, not yet, but something unspoken passed between them, and the interview began. The first few questions were routine. Her experience with back-end development, her approach to debugging, how she collaborated on remote teams. But then Nathan leaned forward slightly and asked, "Is there anything else you think we should know about your background?" Harper hesitated. This was the moment she always dreaded. Most people skimmed her resume and skipped asking. But he was different. She could lie or tell the truth. She chose the latter. "Yes," she said slowly. 5 years ago I served a sentence for financial fraud." She watched his expression, trying to read his reaction. "I was manipulated by a manager. I didn't understand what I was approving until it was too late. I took the fall." Her voice faltered, but she pushed on. "I've rebuilt my life since. Coding saved me. I'm not proud of my past, but I'm not hiding it either." Nathan didn't flinch. He simply nodded. "Thank you for your honesty." There was a long silence. "That takes courage." After Harper left, Nathan sat alone in the room, reviewing her resume again. Her skills were solid, her story compelling. Her kindness at the food truck had left a mark. He couldn't stop thinking about how many people like her were overlooked because of mistakes they'd already paid for. That evening, he met with his executive board and pitched a bold new idea, Valiant's Second Chance Initiative. It would allow hiring managers to consider qualified candidates with non-violent criminal records, offering them mentorship, structure, and a fair chance to rebuild. "We say we value innovation," Nathan argued. "Let's prove it by believing in human potential." The board was hesitant. Investors might push back, but Nathan was resolute, and Harper Lane had sparked that fire. Exactly 1 week later, Harper sat at a diner nursing a cup of coffee she couldn't afford to refill when her phone buzzed. An email from Valiant. Her hands shook as she opened it. Her heart leapt. "We are pleased to offer you a position as junior software developer under our mentorship program." For a moment, she thought it was a mistake. Then she read it again and again. Her eyes brimmed with tears. The letter praised her tenacity, her portfolio, and her honesty during the interview. She whispered a soft thank you to no one in particular, still stunned. She had been chosen, not pitied, not judged, chosen. Her life had just shifted on its axis, and she wasn't going back. Valian's office was unlike anything Harper had ever experienced. High ceilings, open spaces, walls covered in idea boards and digital art. On her first day, she wore her best thrifted blazer and pressed pants, hair pulled back neatly. When she stepped into the office, a woman in her 40s with sleek black hair greeted her with a warm handshake. "Denise Chen, senior engineer, you're on my team," Harper smiled nervously. "Thanks for giving me a shot," Denise smiled. "We don't give shots here, we give opportunities." "You earned it." Harper was introduced to the rest of the team, diverse, sharp, welcoming. She was given her first small assignment and a seat at a communal table. For once, she didn't feel like a fraud, she felt capable. Denise quickly proved to be the mentor Harper never knew she needed. Unlike past bosses, she didn't coddle or micromanage. Instead, she challenged Harper to solve real problems, push her boundaries, and think like a leader. They stayed late working through bugs, shared laughs over failed builds, and even bonded over old-school RPGs. Denise also gave her space to talk, really talk, about the weight Harper still carried. "You're not the worst thing you ever did," Denise said once. "You're the sum of everything you've learned from it." Under her guidance, Harper began to not just write clean code, but to trust herself again. Confidence, once foreign, started to feel like a friend. 2 months into her job, Harper attended a tech conference with her team. As she scanned the crowded room, she froze. Lisa Darnell, the woman who'd orchestrated the scheme that led to her conviction, was across the room. Harper felt her stomach drop. Lisa hadn't aged a day, still polished, still smug. They made eye contact. Lisa frowned as if trying to place her. Harper stepped forward, her voice calm. "Lisa, Harper Lane." Lisa blinked. "Oh," Harper smiled, steady. "I'm with Valian now, lead developers team." She didn't say more. She didn't need to. The past no longer had a grip on her. She had won by moving forward. Nathan had kept a professional distance but quietly followed Harper's progress. Weekly team reports, occasional Slack threads, word from Denise. He watched how quickly Harper adapted, how often her name came up in team highlights. During a product planning meeting, he observed her present her first proposal. Her voice was confident, her code was clean. He found himself smiling. After the meeting, he asked Denise to set up a one-on-one check-in. "I just want to understand how she's adjusting," he said. But when Harper entered his office, something deeper lingered in the air. Not romance, not yet, but respect, admiration, and something personal neither of them quite understood yet. One chilly morning, Harper found a pale envelope in her office mailbox. No return address, just her name in neat cursive. Inside was a handwritten letter from a woman named Tasha who had shared a prison cell with her years ago. "I saw your TEDx talk," it began. "You probably don't remember me, but I remember you tutoring me in math late at night. I dropped out of school at 15. Now I'm applying for a coding boot camp, because you made me believe I could." Harper's fingers trembled as she read. It wasn't just a job anymore. Her redemption was creating a ripple effect. She had inspired someone else to change. Her eyes welled up with tears as she carefully folded the letter and tucked it into her desk drawer, knowing she'd carry it forever. 2 weeks later, Harper received an invitation to join a special company-wide meeting. Curious, she logged into the virtual stream where Nathan stood on stage in Valian's auditorium, flanked by banners reading "New Roads, Building a Culture of Second Chances." He shared the company's newest initiative, expanding their second chance hiring policy into a full mentorship and development program, complete with workshops and community partnerships. Then came the surprise. Nathan publicly acknowledged Harper as the inspiration behind it. "She walked in with honesty, resilience, and unmatched skill," he said. "And because we saw her as she is, not who she was, we gained a rising star." Harper's camera was off, but she sat frozen, hand over her mouth. For the first time, her story wasn't hidden, it was honored. Working closely with Nathan became more frequent after the announcement. They brainstormed strategies for mentoring returning citizens, led team discussions, and spoke at panels together. Harper admired his clarity and grace under pressure. Nathan, in turn, was drawn to her quiet strength and ability to connect with others. Over time, their meetings extended into late-night work sessions filled with laughter and moments of unspoken tension. But both were cautious. Harper worried about perceptions. She wanted to be respected for her work, not seen as someone who charmed the boss. Nathan, mindful of the power dynamics, kept things strictly professional. Still, something lingered between them, something undeniable but unspoken. Despite their caution, the whispers started. A teammate noticed them laughing over coffee. Someone else raised an eyebrow when they left a meeting together. Harper overheard snippets in the hallway. Favoritism, golden girl. Watch how fast she rises. Her stomach twisted. She'd fought too hard to be dismissed like that. When Denise asked if she was okay, Harper finally admitted it. I feel like my reputation is cracking before it's even solid. Denise nodded solemnly. Don't let gossip shrink your truth. You're here because you deserve to be. Harper decided to stay steady, head down, work sharp. If she let rumors define her, she'd be giving them power they hadn't earned. Months later, Harper was invited to give a keynote at a national tech summit titled, Rewriting the Narrative. Nervous but determined, she stepped onto the stage in a midnight blue dress, sleek hair tucked behind her ears, and paused. Then, with quiet courage, she began, 5 years ago I was sitting in a prison cell, not a tech office. The room fell silent. She shared how she was manipulated, how she learned to code behind bars, and how a single act of kindness led to an unexpected opportunity. When she finished, the audience rose to their feet in a standing ovation. Afterward, dozens of attendees approached her. Thank you for speaking truth, one whispered. You gave me hope. That night, Harper didn't just walk off stage, she stepped into a new chapter of leadership. With the success of the keynote and the momentum from Valian's initiative, Harper took on a new project, Code Forward, a non-profit branch supported by the company. Her goal was simple, to build accessible coding boot camps for people with criminal records, low-income backgrounds, or gaps in education. She worked tirelessly, traveling between cities, meeting with community leaders, and writing grant proposals. Her days were long and exhausting, but she'd never felt more alive. Former inmates, single mothers, homeless youth, all started showing up to her workshops. Harper became a bridge between the corporate tech world and the overlooked talent waiting just outside its gates. Recognizing her impact, Valian promoted Harper to lead developer. She now managed a team of 5 and spearheaded product design for community integration platforms. Harper took it in stride, until she walked into her new corner office. She touched the glass walls and felt a rush of disbelief. From a prison bunk to a glass tower, it didn't feel real. Nathan visited her later that day, offering a handshake. You've earned every inch of this space, he said warmly, but more importantly, you've changed the heart of this company. She looked at him, overwhelmed with gratitude. This wasn't just a career milestone, it was a victory over every voice that had ever told her she'd never make it. On the second anniversary of her hiring, Nathan invited Harper to a quiet dinner. This time not at a tech event or company gathering, but just the two of them. They sat in a dimly lit bistro overlooking the city skyline, talking about the last 2 years. They spoke about leadership, pain, trust, and redemption. Finally, over dessert, Nathan said softly, I don't just admire your work, Harper, I admire you. Harper met his gaze. There was no longer fear in her eyes, just honesty. I've always felt it too, she whispered. And for the first time, without guilt or hesitation, they let themselves acknowledge the connection that had been growing all along. Valian was no longer just another tech company. It became a symbol of innovation through compassion. Other companies reached out to replicate their model. News outlets covered Code Forward and interviewed Harper regularly. Her TEDx talk reached millions. Internally, HR began working with rehabilitation programs to create pipelines for underrepresented job seekers. In every department, team leads asked, what would Harper do? The culture was changing, and it wasn't because of a corporate memo. It was because a woman had chosen to tell the truth, led with kindness, and never let her past silence her future. Her story was now embedded in Valian's DNA. One breezy afternoon, Harper strolled past the same food truck where it all began. The smell brought back a rush of memories. A man ahead of her fumbled for his wallet, flustered and embarrassed. She smiled and stepped forward. Let me get that, she said. It's just lunch. The man hesitated. Are you sure? She nodded. Absolutely. As he walked away, Harper stood for a moment, watching the city pulse around her. From that one act of kindness, she had found purpose, redemption, and love. And now she was passing it on. Because kindness wasn't a gesture, it was a legacy. If this story touched you, inspired you, or made you believe in second chances, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful journeys like Harper's. Every heart deserves a fresh start.